Hey everybody, welcome to another What's in the Box. This time it's not a model kit, but it's an airbrush. It's very rare that a company will reach out to us and ask for our opinion on anything, but Gaahleri did, and they want to know what we think of their airbrushes. In terms of we, it's I right now. I don't think Scott's going to be airbrushing anytime soon. You know how it goes. So thank you, Gaahleri, for sending this to us. I am very excited to give this a try. Just a little background information on me. I've been using Iwata for probably over 20 years now. I have not gotten a new airbrush in about that time. I have two airbrushes right now that I use. I use an Iwata HBCH and an HBBH, I think, the two different ones. And you'll notice my airbrush, I 3D printed this little hand grip that I absolutely love that kind of helps. I'm getting old. My hands hurt. And so this kind of fits into my hand and I put it in there and I have it wrapped around and that's how I've been using it. Okay. And then I could brace my fingers on the hose instead of getting in there and holding it constantly kind of like that. So this, I've kind of modded this and this is what I've been using. So I'm gonna have to take this apart in order to get into this one. But let's jump on over to the bench cam and let's zoom in a little. And see what we got in the box, first of all, from Gaahleri. So, pretty excited. I got the Mobius 0.2 mm, all right, from Gaahleri. And let's open this box up. Let's see what's in there. And then look at the box without the plastic on it so we can get a really nice, look, nice matte finish to the box, which I always appreciate for camera issues. You don't get the crazy glare like you do with the plastic. Really high gloss finishes, really nice box. Here's the back. Let's open this up. What's on the side? Do I need my readers? I probably need some readers. All right, 0.2 GHPM Mobius, unique tangent micro air channel nozzle for superior low pressure atomization and fine line. Air valve designed for versatile painting techniques. Mirror level removable cup for effortless cleaning. Lightweight and ergonomic design. Main lever with adjustable tension. That sounds pretty cool. So let's see what it out. So Gaahleri is a Chinese company, and the one thing I've noticed so far, and let me again, my history with airbrushes started out with Badger in about, I would say 1992. I got my first airbrush. I am not an airbrush expert by any means, but I've been using them a very long time. I could not airbrush a leather jacket to look like a portrait, but I can use it to paint a model kit. So I went from an airbrush, I think a Badger 150 to a Sotar 2020, and then I switched over to Iwata. And I've been using Iwata ever since. And I even did a couple of demonstrations at iHobby Expo for Iwata, painting monster kits. So have a little bit of experience doing this. And the inside cover of the box, this is very helpful actually. It has your part breakdown. You're never gonna lose. Does that come out? No, it's glued right in there. So in your airbrush box, it has the part list, which is pretty nice. I tend to lose papers a lot. So it's nice to have that. Just make sure you hang on to the box. You get this, dear customer. Each Gaahleri airbrush undergoes a series of stringent tests before leaving the factory to ensure that it meets our high standards in all aspects. If you find an actual issue with the product, there's no need to return it. Simply contact us to report the problem and we'll arrange for a shipment. Gaahleri.com, support@gaahleri.com. And then here's the back with all of their stuff. I'll link to everything down below. Here is your instruction book, your quick start guide. Let's kind of take a look at that first. Pretty extensive quick start guide. Do I want to read through all this? Disassemble in order, so it tells you what to do, how to take everything apart. Perfect spraying effect, too thin, perfect. Have that sort of thing telling you what's going on. Quick adjust is there on the bottom. All of this should be self-explanatory once I dig into it. Paint. And it looks like, how do you get that cup out? That's what I want to know. And then, there we go. Disassemble. All right. instructions, whatever. It's nice that they're there for when I need them, which I'm sure I will at some point. Let's dig into the airbrush. So here we go. Looking into the box, take this foam out. Here's how it comes. Ooh. Ooh. That's pretty. Now, it is a proprietary company out of China. They're making their own airbrushes. So I don't think these are not airbrushes where it's a generic kind of someone else's and they're just putting their name on it. This is their own company of airbrushes. And so far, I gotta say, when they reached out to us through our Facebook page, great communication, like amazing communication. So I'm hoping that same level would go through with the airbrush end of things. Like after purchase support, I think will be excellent. I don't even want to take this out of the box. It looks so pretty. So, okay, cool. Let's do it. And I don't know if I can even run this brush. I need a hose that it's going to fit. Wait, let me look at this. There it will. Okay. So this, I think, is for the quick cart. Ooh, okay. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me put this back on. Okay. This, I think, is for the quick connect. That feels really nice screwing on there. This is a pretty airbrush. Now it feels really weighty. All right, there's some heft to it, which is pretty nice. Here's some lube. Nothing, you can't go wrong with lube. Some Gaahleri branded lube. And then here's the paint cup. Let's get that out so I have it. The paint cup has, now if you notice, I was reading something. The other thing I noticed is that they reply, I just kind of searched them online, and there's some Reddit posts, and they actually replied in the Reddit posts answering people's questions, which is kind of rare to see sometimes. Let me get this out. Most of the times, companies just disappear on you. And so far, I don't think that's going to be my experience with Gaahleri. And that cup, the lid sits right on there, pops off, pops on. Feels really nice. Ooh, it feels, that feels great, actually. Here's the cup. So the one thing that I like about this right away, compared to my old airbrush, is this is fixed in there. So if I needed to replace this for any reason, like if it got all chipped up or the chrome started coming off, I could just replace this cup. If you look down in mine, you'll notice that's 20 years of use. And I'll be the first one to say it. I am terrible at taking care of things when it comes to airbrushes because I tend to get frustrated pretty quickly. But in general, this feels like a tool, like this feels significant, if that makes sense. Like it feels like you got something in your hand. This is a lot lighter. You can tell right away that this Iwata feels lighter. Let me just spin this back off. There are rubber O-rings, it looks like, pretty much everywhere. So that comes off. Here's the needle. Let's pull that needle out. There's the needle. Gonna be very careful putting that back in. It feels really good going in. And then there we go, Mobius 0.2. Let's take this cover off. That's nice to have, actually. I don't want to lose that and keep that on there just to keep it from, in case I tend to drop things, so I don't want anything going on there. And that will protect that. I love this kind of curved design on the back of it with that spiraling cover. I love the gold in there. And this trigger feels, man, I mean, it's got about the same tension as what I've been using, but this feels really nice. And I like, if you look at my old trigger, if you look at this trigger, so it's just, if you look at this trigger, you see how it's just flat across and there's a tiny little nub sort of on the back. your finger just kind of slides off that. And I know there's aftermarket things you can do. Yeah, this is an HPBH. CH is the bigger one. So this was the smaller one. It has the regulator down here, which is something I love, okay? But this trigger immediately feels better, okay? It has the higher slope there on the back. It's grippier, okay? I love having the regulator up here and the airflow regulator because my compressor is kind of off to the side down there, and to be able to reach down there at any moment and change the flow on the fly is difficult. So to have it dialed in right here is awesome, okay? The nozzle, let's take a look in there and see. There's your nozzle. Okay, there's nothing. It's your typical just front of the brush. Let's peel this off and see what that looks like through there. Okay, there's the nozzle with the needle poking through. I know a lot of people, my late friend Dan, he always takes this off so that he could see where he's pointing at his brush. I hate doing that because I am a clod and I know I'm going to drop this and bend that needle tip. So I like to keep that on. And after a while, you know where your paint's going. So this, I think, is the quick connect adapter, which I don't have. So I got to find one of those. So this does have your standard connector down there on the bottom. Let's go ahead and get that connected to the hose so I can get an idea. I'm gonna have to edit for a second. Actually, before we do that, let's connect the cup. Make sure there's nothing in there. How easy does the cup connect? Like butter. That's really nice. Get that in there nice and tight. Ooh, that's a big cup. Great for mixing. So normally I like the smaller one sometimes because I don't use this one. This is not my base coating one. This is my base coating one. Let's see if I can get this off. So this is my base coating brush. Go back to me for a second. This is my base coating brush. Has the comparable, I think, cup size on there. This is in the middle between both of them. This is the one I use for primers and for base coating over at the exhaust station on the other side of my room. This is a nice in between. And I've stopped kind of mixing paint outside. I've been mixing paint in the cup. So that higher level helps a little bit, I think. Wow. Okay. Let's take this apart. Let's take mine apart and get into there. Okay. I started using that tattoo stuff that tattoo artists use just because it felt better at times. All right, here we go. Popping that off. Popping this on. Make sure I got nothing in there. Might want to put some Teflon stuff around there, but I'm not going to because I want to see how good the seal is. Okay, there we go. It's attached. So it uses the same attachment as an Iwata. Okay, there's my brush. There's the quick connect. I want to get the quick connect adapter. Ooh, okay. So let's dial it down. This is closed, pushing the trigger. I get no air leakage, nothing. Feels good. Okay. I'm going to just kind of dial this up a little bit. Can you hear that? You can get it. Okay. Let's give this a shot. Let's get some tests going. All right. Feels good. Feels good. Feels good in your hand too. Does this fit over this? Ooh, it does. So my adapter handle that I printed does fit over that. I love that. And maybe, I'll have to look, maybe Gaahleri makes a plastic thing like that, but that feels really good. So it feels a lot, for me, again, I like having that extra brace on there, but for the most part, this is not a problem. And I think some people, it depends how people hold their brush. Some people like to hold it here. Some people like to hold it like this. Some people get like right up in there, very triggery, which is hard for me. It's just my hands after all day working the art job and then doing this, it's tough. So let me go grab some things and we'll be right back. So I went ahead and got some paper. I hooked up the airbrush. Sounds good. We just talked about that. I got some kits over here, some little things I want to test on too and see how that goes. So I'm going to start by just putting some water in the brush and see what it feels like. Just a little bit of water. I'm going to run through this with just some water and just feel it on my hand and see how it feels. Now, I'm going to turn this almost, so that's closed. I'm going to barely just, it's a little snappy there. So just, it's really just spitting. There we go. Okay. So if I open this all the way, let me go all the way. See what it feels like. That's significant. Okay. That's a big difference between all the way until I can first getting stuff out. So I think I need to turn it. There's air coming out. I was only, what, half a turn? And it's barely coming out of there. Okay. So that feels good. I like that. Got a lot of control. And it's feeling nice. Like I'm pinching here. I'm starting to feel there a little bit, but that's just because my hands are bad. I think this would be a great, man, it feels like a pache. Like, you know how the pache brushes were a little thicker and a little heftier? That's, man, I really like this. It's nice. Okay, let's put some paint in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in some burnt red from Pro Acryl from Monument Hobbies. And I am going to go ahead and thin it with some Vallejo thinner. That's what I've been using lately. So I'm going to put 2 drops, just 2 drops, 2 drops, 1, 2, okay, 2 drops of paint. I probably need to put more. Let's do it 4 or 5. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, get it in there. All right, now I'm going to put a little bit of thinner in there, not too much. I'm going to thin it, get it just right, kind of what I'm used to doing, and mix this up just in the cup for right now. Okay. Now, I thinned that probably a little too much, but I think it'll work. I like to, when I like to mix my stuff, put my finger over the top, dial this down. See how that splattered out? It's too much, not used to it. Okay, but let's get it cleaned. That's splattered. Let's get rid of that. Okay, let me dial it down even more. So I get, there we go. That's where I need it to do my mixing. And I can feel it pushing off my finger quite a bit. All right, that's how I like to mix my paint. Probably not the best way, probably not the way everyone should do it, but I'm really liking that. All right, so let's just give it, this is with it barely turned. All right, can I get opened up all the way? Nope, nothing coming through. There we go. That's with barely any air coming through. And that was effortless. I love that broken. If I back this out, you can get a nice stipple pattern. So let me do my normal trigger, trigger, tap. That's the spray pattern. Trigger, 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 trigger once, trigger once. So if you're doing flesh, that's a great way to just do that trigger. It's going to build up. I love that splatter. That's a good splatter. How much? Wow. Okay. So let's dial this up even more. I did like a full turn, I think. And let's go right over this again. How does this feel? What's the tiniest line I can get? I'm about right there. Now, oops, there's, look at that. From, okay, So let me, that's the splatter. That's pretty good. Let's try this. Let's see if I can get, that's pencil line. Pencil line. So if I, let me actually put a pencil line. So this is using my, what is this? Really tiny mechanical pencil. There's my pencil line, right? So there's a pencil line. There's the airbrush line. Pretty good. Now, yeah, if I want to go out a little more, it's going to spray. But I think this is working pretty good, guys. I got to get used to the trigger, though. Like there's a, I feel like there's a, not a dead spot, but you have to push down more than I'm used to. So that's just a matter of, I think, getting used to the airbrush. I'm pushing down. It's pretty nice. All right, let's try it on some actual things. Let me turn this up all the way and just see what happens. This is all the way. There's still a little paint. That's with all the pressure up. How does it work? This is pressure up all the way. Yeah, nice. So somewhere in the middle there is where you want it, I think. It feels really good. Feels really good in your hand. Feels good while working. Let me set that off to the side. So I got these busts from Nick's to Suhulos. And they're these little, he does these really cool fantasy busts. This one is supposed to be Hellboy, I think. So let's try, I just want to go ahead and see what it looks like. I take that same red. I went and Zenithal primed this. And let's just see with just a slight mist of this dark red over that. Oh man, it's coming out. I'm going to dial this down quite a bit. So I have this dialed down quite a bit. I'm just going to mist this red over everything here. It's quiet. It's not splattering. I think I got my paint mix right first time, which is rare. So a quick base coat and we're good to go. Let's see how quick, how close can I get? And I know I haven't done everything, but can I get, try and get a little, as little overspray as I can right there on the jacket. Not too bad. I can get close. Opened up a little too much right there. Keep going here. So this is it enough to make me want to like switch brushes? Yes, I think so. Let's let that dry still. I'm really liking this. Now, is it because my other one's so old and it's time for a new one anyway? Maybe. It's just going to take a little getting used to with that trigger pull to when the paint comes out. But I think that looks really good. It's going on nice and smooth. The atomization is fantastic. It's really going on. So let's paint these up. Let's just get a base coat of red. And that looks pretty nice. Oh, I ran out of paint, of course, right at the very end. But that worked really nice. Let's put another couple drops in there. So I'm just mixing in the cup. Okay. And here we go again. Looks pretty good. Okay. So I'm going to hit that with a hairdryer. So I hit that with the hairdryer. I'm going to put a couple drops of black. I'm going to put a drop or two of black in here. I'm just going to darken up this red a little bit. Now I probably should use purple, but I'm going to put 2 drops. Actually, I'm going to put 1 drop of black. Actually, 2. 2 drops of black. A little more thinner. This time I'm going to mix it with the brush. Right in there. Darken up that red. Run it on the sides. And be good to go. Okay. Couple little mixing bubbles. There we go. All right. So let's put some shading on this. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, the only thing, and again, I'm telling you, it's over 20 years of me using the same airbrush. So I just got to get used to when the trigger is pulled versus when the paint comes out. But that's looking pretty nice. Now you see how small this is? It's a tiny little face. Okay, it's tiny. So I'm trying to get in there. This tiny little brush. And do some tiny shading areas. But it works I'm really liking this brush, guys. It's pretty nice. Now it's a lot more blown out on camera. It's a lot more red than it is, I think, here. It's picking up not as much of the shadows because my lights are so bright. But man, I think it's looking pretty good. Brush works great. Little shadow in there. Give it a wash. Try that out. Now, cleaning. It's the next big thing. Let's give that a try. How are we going to clean this brush? Does it clean out really well? Let's see if it works my normal way. Darken that. That's really pretty good, everybody. I'm loving it. Loving it. Man. Okay. So let's clean this out. Normally what I like to do, I'm going to use this. I'm going to dump my extra paint just in there for now. And I'm going to wipe this off. What I like to do is just fill this with water first. Then I'm going to spray it into here. Open this up. Spray that into there. I lost my little nozzle thing. Then I'm going to do just a little bit of brushing around there. Clean off the edges as best I can. How's cleaning going to go? Let's get this opened up and in there and going. Okay, so that's just with a pass of water. It's just a pass of water, getting stuff out. Now, I'm going to squirt some alcohol in here. Where's my alcohol? Gone. Be right back. So I got some alcohol. I'm just going to spritz some alcohol in there. Clean up my brush. Clean up with a brush just a little. Run that around in there. Because normally on the fly, switching colors, I don't like to take the whole thing apart and clean it every single time. So then what I do is I have a piece of paper of cloth towel down here. I just spray that into the cloth towel. So that, I know it's a brand new brush and this should clean out fairly easy, but yeah, it did. So there's a little bit of red left There's a little bit of red left down there in the bottom, so I'm going to run some water through again, spray it. Sometimes it helps to have a little pipette to squeeze it in and out. So I like to do that too sometimes. Take some water, squeeze it in and out like that, pump that around. And then again, spray into my towel here on the side. And we have a pretty clean brush. Take a look. It's a little bit of red left in there. Not much, but that's ready to move on to my next color. Some red up there at the top. Clean it out with a Q-tip with just a little bit of alcohol in it, and I should be good. Cleans out really good. So disassembly, didn't disassemble the whole thing for this. I don't want to because of what we're doing. But man, I think that worked pretty good. So there's just a highlight and a shadow airbrushed right on in. Let's give it a shot on this. We have an orc. This is an orc miniature from Mr. Modulorc, and it's supposed to be ash. And let's get in there super tiny and see what we can do and just hit the base coat. Let me grab my glasses because I'm going to need this. And I don't tip the brush. So there we go. We have another orc head on the ground, but I'm going to try and just hit him. I got to lower this a little. So just if I want to do base coat a miniature real fast, even more. I'm going to dial that down even more. There we go. There we go. That's perfect. So if I wanted a base coat a miniature with this thing, boom. And it dials down easy. I haven't noticed any issues. There's a little bristle or something right there. No splattering even at that kind of level. There's his face. Let's get a good face coat in there. Now, I didn't putty this or anything. That needed to be puttied. Let me get his face a little. Back of his head. Man. So that works. For getting in there and fine detail work, I don't think you're going to have a problem at all. That's really nice. And again, this is first time use. I haven't practiced with this. I haven't done anything. That is pretty good. All right, cleaning it out. Last time, I'm going to dump it in there, run my paint out, open this up all the way. I'm going to run, just squirt out as much as I can there. And then I'm going to fill this. Shouldn't be breathing in all this. I should be wearing a mask. You can kind of see. Okay, and then one last one. Always wear your mask when airbrushing, but it makes it nearly impossible to do this. All right, then where's my brush? Get that brush. Clean this a little bit. Clean there. Now, let's get a Q-tip. Clean that with there first. Clean Q-tip. Got a Q-tip clean. And now we're going to put some straight up just alcohol in there. Hit that with the Q-tip. It goes down. It goes way further down than I'm used to. And then I'm going to take the bristles, the needle out and see what that looks like. Let's point it down. Get it all right there. Okay, let's take this needle out. I'm going to put this here so it's a little easier to see for cleanup. Let's take it out and see how dirty the needle is. And I've done a pretty good job, I think, of cleaning out the inside of that. Let's do one little last pass with some water. Okay. Now let's turn this. Pull this out. Now the needle's kind of dirty, so I want to make sure I get that nice and clean, not to drop that. So there's our needle. Okay. Feels nice. Now let's take a look without the needle. Let's run some paint through there, some air. And how easy is this to come off? So that's off. Let's take a look at this. That's a long screw, long screw job. And I can feel it's been lubed. It's and you can see the trigger moving. So this is finally coming out. This goes in. There's a lot of threads there. Okay. There. So we got that piece. Spring comes out. This comes out. And how easy is this piece to get out? It's a little more difficult to get this piece out. I think I have to... Does this come out? That's a tough piece to get out of there. I don't know how to do it. I'm afraid to. I don't want to break it. But that piece should come out somehow. I'll have to go back and look exactly how. In the inside box cover, it shows it coming out, right? Yep. Needle guide, O-ring, Teflon. So you can, it does come with some O-ring replacements. So if you need to replace any of those, that's a nice touch for those to come with it. There is got to be an easier way to get this thing out of there. And I know I'm probably doing it wrong. Yes, so this whole piece comes out. I don't want to do that right now until I have to. So this comes out, and I think that's how you get this out. It feels like there's a tool that will get that out. It's not perfectly round. There's some flat edges there. Oh, it's this knob. Okay. So it's kind of like it's like the Iwata. So on the Iwata, dialing this here can change how far you have to pull back. So I'm thinking it's the same with this, but it's kind of backwards from there. But there is a way to get this out. Here's the extra O-rings it came with. So if you need to replace an O-ring, and then I'll look more into that, exactly how to get that apart. All right, putting the trigger in. Put the trigger in first, and then start putting this in so that that pushes up against there. All right, there we go. Spin this. I'm going to put this all the way down. Okay. That works. Needle back in. I'm going to do one more wipe on the needle. Okay, one more wipe on the needle. It looks like there is some paint buildup on there already. That dried on there. So going to get that off. Probably the wrong way to do that. I'm going to hit this. Run it on that sponge a little. All right, so the needle comes out, no problem. All right. So when you have to, and hopefully you don't have to take this apart very often. Put that in, needles down. You feel it. There's a nice click. Like you can feel it fall into place when it hits the tip. Then put this on. Oops, backwards. Put this on. Man, it's so weird having a different airbrush. All right, put this back on. I love the design though. It just looks sharp. Like it looks really nice. And this all the way dialed down. It's gonna stop there. One thing I forgot to clean is my tip. All right. So I'm gonna pull this back and I'm gonna do my normal cleaning way. Extend that out a little and run that and see if I can get that pretty clean. I'm gonna clean that one more time. Pull the needle back. Never do this with the needle in. I probably should clean this a little better another way, but I'm just going to do that for now. And then let me clean this cup. I already got the cup nice and dirty. Let's wipe that all off. But hey, it's an airbrush. That's what happens. Let's clean this a little. All right, so I cleaned the brush. All right, so I just checked the price. Everything's cleaned up, kind of back to normal. The cup got a little loose, so maybe I just didn't tighten that enough when I was doing it. $76.99 over on the Gaahleri website. You cannot go wrong with that price. If you're looking for a new brush, why not try something different than what you have been using? This is a great price to try something new. You are not investing a ton of money. This is, I think, a beautiful looking airbrush, beautiful feeling airbrush, and I highly recommend it. If you are just starting out airbrushing, you can't go wrong. This is a great introductory price. You are not going to be investing. Yes, the compressor you have to get, but it fits on the compressor I already have. If you already have a compressor, it's not a huge investment, and I love it. Having the regulator down here for me is always a must. This airflow regulator, I don't like any other way. I like having it built into the brush. So seeing this model have that in there, it's a selling point for me. That's just one of those things. And it feels good. It feels good. It airbrushes great. You saw the results. I could not recommend this more. So everybody, give it a chance. Give Gaahleri a chance. Test them out. See what you like. See what you think. This is a great brush. This is going to be my go-to now for a while, I think. I just like feeling it. It feels really good. So Gaahleri, thank you so much for reaching out to us. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to doing more with you in the future. This is a great brush. Don't forget, it has the cap on there, so you're not going to spill. Cap doesn't come off completely up. It's not coming off, just kind of snaps off. But look, wait, let's see if I can. Nope, doesn't come off. But it comes off really easy with your hand. Let's watch. It pops off. So that's not gonna, you're not gonna have an issue unless you drop it, which everyone knows. Gaahleri, well done. Very nice brush. Thank you. Thank you. That's cool. Thanks, guys. All right, everybody, check them out. Mobius, Gaahleri, great brush. We'll see you next time, everyone, on What's in the Box and Model Club TV.